A first alert update tonight on the ongoing situation developing at the southern border. Senate negotiators have reportedly reached a deal on immigration. Sources say it would provide more power to significantly restrict illegal immigration. It would also speed up the asylum process to consider cases within 6 months when it typically takes 10 years. President Biden has stated that he's willing to accept the tougher measures. Former President Donald Trump has urged House Republicans to reject any border deals. The deal could be unveiled as soon as this week, but House Speaker Mike Johnson is already saying it's dead on arrival. Governor Noem was on State of the Union this morning discussing the same topic. Take a listen.
We have a president that has all the tools that he needs to protect our country today, and he's refusing to do that. So to look at Congress and expect them to pass a bill when they failed for decades to do this, and then to say we have to accept this poison pill of a bill that it essentially codifies illegal immigration. What it would do is put into statute that people can now come here illegally, and is just a terrible bill that I think President Trump is exactly right. It should not pass, and push President Biden to take action because he has all the federal laws that he needs today to keep us safe.
Governor Noem also added that Texas should continue to stand its ground for their use of razor wire at the southern border.